This video is about getting set up for Holy Communion. Today's Maundy, Thursday, and we've got a 1:30 service, so I'm setting it up for myself, which pastors usually do for Ash Wednesday and Maundy, Thursday, for the afternoon services, and then we have an assistant usher in the evenings. Anyway, I thought it would be a good time to share with you where some of the things are in case you have to do this. First of all, to get set up for Holy Communion, let's talk about what's in the closet here. First of all, there's a hook or a nail upon which the keys are hung. You see the keys down here in the door to get at the wine. The wine's kept down in there. Okay. Otherwise, we have individual communion cups, extras here. This is for the host, the bread left from the previous time. So once it's been opened from here, this is how it comes. Once that's been opened, what's left over then gets put into here to keep it from going stale. Then we have these covers. The large one, of course, is for the tray, and you just fit by size. Setting up for communion then, here's that tray, and then there's the chalice, which is for the wine, and the flagon, which is for the wine. We put wine into the flagon, not real high, maybe about there, 2 cups worth, 2 of these worth, maybe 3. And then these are called ciboriums. They're for the bread, the host, and we just put it in there. Don't fill it up too darn high. Also, don't make it look pretty. Just dump it in there. It's easier for us to reach each piece if they're not all lined up pretty. So just dump them in there, okay? If you shouldn't need more than 2 of these, relatively full, for a church service. If you think that you might, say on Easter Sunday, there's also the ciborium that we used to use before we got the new silver. That is here. If I can get it open with one hand. There it is. And you can put host in there as well to be added to the tray. I prefer that you not put these packets unopened onto the tray because they're very, very loud. That cellophane is very, very loud to open, and it's just awkward. So if you think that you're going to need more, very large sundae or something, use the 3rd ciborium, the old one. Otherwise, 2 of these should be sufficient for any given Sunday. All right, so the flagon, the chalice, leave empty, the 2 ciboriums. Then you'll find the communion napkins in here. You'll notice there's different designs. You can try to line those up to the designs which are on the veil, but frankly, I don't think it's necessary. So I just use a purificator or communion napkin and add it as well. We'll come back to the veils later, but you'll see the veils are here. There are several. Notice that there's a couple that are much smaller for use in the chapel, but they use the full-size ones in the sanctuary. For filling the individual cups, each tray holds 40. So 40, 80, 120 is what I'm going to have for this afternoon service for Maundy, Thursday. And then you use one of these filler cups for the wine, which again you'll find down underneath, into the filler cup, and a little press on the red button gives you just enough. All right. Notice that we leave, start there. Notice that we leave 2 empty. This one and one of the next ones. So on each tray, 2 are left empty, and I'll show you why that is in a moment. When I get close to being finished, I like to run the cold water while I finish up. There, I've jumped ahead, and I still have these 2 empties. Now, take notice that I've got a little spill here. you could find a Kleenex, which, oh, there they are. Here's a Kleenex. And just a touch around the edge will soak that up very nicely. There you go. So if that happens. Then what we do is we empty this out. This water's been running to get the water out of the pipe. Just put some water in there, not too much. And in this case, I didn't leave much wine. And then the water, which has still probably an untinction of wine, meaning just a touch of wine, because it was in the cup. The cup was unrinsed. Into these two that are in the middle. That's because there are some people who, for whatever reason, don't want the full strength wine. You know, they're not really getting water. What they're getting is mostly water with just an intinction of wine. Sometimes that'll come out a little rosé. That's fine. That's actually good. Mixing water with wine is an ancient tradition. The alcohol in the wine would purify the water. That's why a lot of ancient cultures had wine, because it was cleaner than the stream water or the river water or whatever. And if you mixed water with it, you'd cut the wine, save some of the wine, but it would still have enough alcohol to purify the water. So cutting the wine or mixing water and wine is well established in the church and isn't a problem. So we have either a very, very limited mixture. It could still look white, could still look slightly rosé. All right. So now I have 3 trays, 4, 8, 12, 120, and the lid, as well as this tray set up with 2 ciboriums, a chalice, a flagon, the wine in the flagon, and a purificator. Next, we'll go to the altar. Here I've set everything on the altar. We have the trays. You know, if you put them in the middle of the altar, I'm going to end up pulling them back anyway. So I kind of like them closer, not all the way to the front, but in the first half of the altar perhaps. And we have the same setup. Now the veil, I'm going to put the veil on. I don't have enough hands to do it all at once. But notice this cross here. A couple of times, I did it once. I think it's happened with elders once or twice. When you pull the veil off or on, it can catch on this cross and tip it. So I like to put the veil over this way and then lay it towards the front. I'm not done doing that yet, but I want to show that what I was talking about. If you pull this, the veil across the cross, it's going to quite very easily tip that thing over. And then you have a royal mess. So instead of that, you know, do more of this thing instead of pulling it. I got to pause it again while I get it done with 2 hands. Okay, now we're veiled. No particular way that it needs to be done. I like to bring these words down in front so it can be seen from the front. Others, you know, leave the veil up higher so it doesn't cover the front. You know, some churches have a frontal or a full frontal, and we don't. So no particular having to be centered, making sure everything's covered. And I kind of like, you know, it's not a hard thing to do to pull the corners so that they line up a bit. Helps make it straight looking. Just pull the corners. And in the back, no big deal. All right. As long as we're doing this, I'll point out these keys again. Here's the one for the wine cabinet. This is the assistant usher's door key, so to lock this room and get back into it if you need to. Some of the classrooms or the altar guild room sometimes gets locked. And then this is where the paraments are kept. So let me put these away. There you go. And we've got everything rinsed out. Okay. Now some of these other rooms, the one key where I mentioned the paraments, can't do that. That's this closet here. So the red, the green, all that kind of stuff. And then the altar guild room is down over here. That would be that other key that's on there if you need. Here we have the flower cooler, banners, candelabras, seasonal kinds of things, extra plant stands, and so on.